Hey, folks, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and just someone with a lot of passion, curiosity, thirst for knowledge in the areas of becoming a superhuman me. But to be more serious, I just love learning all the toolkits and all the data and research-based practices to help us learn how to be more in control of our capacities. Like as human beings, we've been given so much, like no other animal on earth. And I think at some point we just got so much complexity that now we don't even know what to do exactly with our brain, for example. We don't know how to optimize it, how to talk to it, how to create certain environments or certain habits, or how to even create a habit, right? Working with the brain, not against that. I spent a lot of my career as a helping people to change their eating habits, their lifestyle habits, to help them lose weight. And a lot of times what I realized learning modern neuroscience didn't work for people. Like, for example, didn't work for me, didn't work for anyone. Restricting your food in a certain way that decreases the amount of essential nutrients needed for life, like it didn't work because we're basically working against our own brain, because our brain's primary purpose is to help us survive. And starving our body and brain of essential nutrients they need to function, that is against our brain's primary purpose. And when we start working against our brain, we'll always lose, because this is a very hardwired system, and the first objective is always survival, not your six-pack, right? And so that's how I started to learn, okay, this didn't work because it goes against everything that we were designed for as human beings. We were designed to survive and thrive, no matter the environment. And it doesn't matter, again, whether you want to get your six-pack or anything like that. No. And it's a good thing. Your brain's primary purpose is to make sure that you survive, because you as a human being, you don't really know what kind of processes are happening inside of your body, inside of your brain, and what it is exactly your body needs to do to survive and strive, so you literally do not die. So the brain is hardwired to prevent you making stupid shit and not giving yourself what you need to actually stay alive. And that's why I'm so passionate these days about learning the proper science. Okay, you want to, for example, have this goal of weight loss. Let's learn how to work with your brain, with current science, to help you, yes, to adjust your weight, but to also work with your body, work with your brain, so you don't fight them, the battle that you'll always lose, and still get your results. And believe it or not, there is a way to do it. And that's how I got my six-pack that I never lose for being in the same weight for like, I don't know how many years. And I just know how to help my brain, my body to get into this state and to stay there. But that's kind of like side note. But today we are talking about nutrition, and specifically, as you guessed from the title of this podcast, we are talking about specific food groups that we need to incorporate in our daily routine to give our body, our brains, all the nutrients they need to stay happy, stay focused and productive, and also stay fit, full of energy, and looking freaking good. And you know, sometimes people say, but Angela, what if I don't like this food group? Well, guess what, guys? I don't like gravity and that it's hard to walk. But unfortunately, this is not the thing that I can change. So I work with that, not trying to be frustrated with the thing that I cannot change. If we need to eat certain amount of protein, certain vitamins and minerals, like it's not up to you to choose whether you want to eat this or not. You gotta figure out how to optimize consumption of certain nutrients. If you want to feel good and do good in life, if you don't, if you want to suffer, then up to you. It's not my place to tell you what to do, but it's my place to make you aware of the consequences of your own choices. And so if you decide, let's say, some people say, I don't like vegetables. Well, if you are like most human beings, you're probably going to suffer if you do not eat any vegetables. You cannot get any nutrients, all the nutrients that you need to thrive from a peel. Not going to happen. You cannot put an apple into a peel, no matter how hard you try. Nobody's still able to do that. And you cannot rely on pills and supplements to feel and look optimally and live a long, happy life. That's number one. Number two, every food group does provide their nutrients, their range of nutrients in the most beneficial way. Like meaning, if dairy products are great for delivering calcium, that is not questionable. You can try to get your calcium from spinach, but eating a kilo of spinach isn't a viable option. And then, yes, there is calcium in supplements, but then you want to ask yourself, like, a food group that contains calcium, like dairy products, let's say fermented yogurt of good quality, they provide other nutrients that support calcium absorption and metabolism that your supplement most probably doesn't have. That's the power of whole food. They contain a lot more than you can put in a pill with a single supplement. And then, of course, some people say, but I'm lactose intolerant. That is such a thing. But then we live in a modern world that, for example, makes really good lactose-free dairy products that preserves most of the other goodness that is found in dairy products. So when you're aware that there are certain nutrition needs for a human being who wants to thrive, feel great, and look amazing, and you're aware of the foods that provide the optimal balance of those nutrients and supporting nutrients, now you got to figure out how to start liking them, how to learn to cook them, how to start enjoying them, because it's not up to you, just like with gravity, to enjoy that gravity and use it for you or work against it. Not up to you. Certain things in life are hardwired and you cannot change them. It's like, you are not, unfortunately, designed to fly. Now, you might at some point get some fancy drone to start flying. But as for now, in order to maintain great fitness, even digestion and well-being and health, we kind of gotta work with the gravity condition that we have on Earth. In fact, if you go to space and spend significant time without gravity, you will not be thriving and you start aging at accelerated pace, even though you'll think like, oh, it's nice, there is no gravity, I don't have to work that hard. Yeah, but unfortunately that will backfire. Then a little bit of a rant is for you to understand that certain things in biology are not up to you. If it says human beings thrive on 7 to 9 hours of sleep on a night schedule, then it means that as long as you're a human being, you're going to thrive on that specific schedule. You're not some sort of night bat that can stay awake during the night. Actually, more and more data is coming out right now showing all the negative effects of disrupted sleep patterns. And that means sleeping on really weird schedule, not sleeping at night between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. that most people thrive on, compromising your sleep with different consumption of different substances like too late caffeine or alcohol, etc. Again, back to the idea that certain things are hardwired, and when you do them, you thrive. When you don't do them, you do not thrive, and there are negative consequences, more of them or less of them, depending on what exactly you do and how often and with what intensity. Now let's get back to nutrients and actual practical advice. 9 nutrients, 9 food groups that you gotta consume on a regular basis, and I'm gonna give you the guideline for the frequency of that consumption and approximate amount for an average human being. 9 food groups, nutrients that you need to be getting on a regular basis in order for you to thrive. I got this idea for the episode for this podcast reading this article about 7 nutrients / again food groups that people need for mental health, for a happy brain. But guess what, guys? If you want to be happy, you kind of also want to be in good health in general. And if you want a happy brain, that same brain, the same requirements are needed for a productive and focused brain. So it's not like, you make your brain happy, but then you need to eat different foods for productive and focused brain. It's kind of all the same. And so I just decided to expand this list a little bit and bring to you the nutrients for a happy and a focused brain, but also nutrients that help you to stay fit and healthy, prevent all kinds of degenerative diseases and decline of brain capacities. And also I decided to give you more guideline about the best food and the amounts the amounts that you need to eat regularly. Let's start. And these nutrients, by the way, guys, they're not in any order of preference. You kind of have to get all of them. It's like with sleep. It's not the quality and quantity, either or. It's an quality and quantity. It's not, if you sleep 5 hours, but really well, you can thrive on that. No, you kind of need to still get 7 to 9 hours in bed and work on the quality. The same with food. It's not either or, and something is more important. No, in order for one nutrient to work, you need to get the rest. And when you don't get one, you kind of don't make others work that well as well. I hope this makes sense. It's a system. You cannot say that sleep is important, exercise is important, and if you have to choose, just, choose, sleep. Well, even though we can kind of prioritize, but they all are important for thriving. The same with nutrition. Nutrition will help you to sleep better, and then sleep will help you to be better with your nutrition and help your body to metabolize nutrients better. It's again a system, not one solution for one problem. Let's get to nutrients. Number 1, omega-3 fatty acids. Specifically, you want to get a mix of marine omega-3 fatty acids and land-sourced omega-3 fatty acids. And those are structural material for your brain. Literally, the brain builds that insulation along your nerves, so the signals are transmitted faster, and fast transmission, better communication between your nerve cells means better mental health, better focus, better productivity, more energy, everything just functioning better. And also omega-3s are highly anti-inflammatory, and they are needed for all of your cell membranes. And basically, if you don't consume them on a regular basis, more and more research is coming out saying you're not going to be doing that well, especially long-term. And people who have more of those omega-3s in their cell membranes and in their brains, they thrive, they live longer and live better with less diseases. So omega-3s, the recommendation is at least twice a week, you eat fatty fish like sardines and salmon, good chunk. And then every day you need other omega-3s, getting from walnuts, a handful of walnuts and flax seeds. My recommendation is eat fatty fish, eat walnuts every single day. I personally eat kind of sardines or some other fatty fish every single day. When I don't, I supplement. That's why it's always kind of good to have omega-3 fatty acids or fish oil. And then every day I eat a handful of walnuts, or maybe sometimes I happen to eat chia seeds, but something with omega-3 fatty acids. So the recommendation is to get your omega-3s every day from land and marine sources if you're interested in optimizing your health and performance. So it is recommended about 2 grams of those omega-3s to improve your health and maintain high level of health and performance. And that you would get 2 grams from fatty fish, a good portion, again, a can of sardines, or perhaps a good chunk of salmon, 150, 180 grams. And additionally, you get your omega-3s from walnuts, and you're going to be good to go. Also supplement if you don't consume fish that much. But again, when you eat foods, the difference is the food does not just provide one nutrient, like fatty fish is not just about omega-3s. It also provides, like in the case of sardines, canned sardines, it has calcium, it has iodine, it has phosphorus, it has other nutrients, a lot of protein, right? So be aware of the fact that whole foods is always better. It contains a lot more than a pill could ever dream of. Number 2, proteins. So get your proteins, get your amino acids specifically from animal sources. And yes, you can combine plant-based sources trying to get all the amino acids your brain needs. We have essential amino acids, non-essential, but the whole range of them with simply eating like one piece of food you get only from animal foods in the most concentrated varieties to create brain chemicals of your well-being and focus, like your dopamine, your serotonin are actually made of. Those proteins that you eat in foods and the concentration in plant-based sources in animal sources are not comparable. Animal sources are best for providing complete proteins. They always been and they always will be. How much? 2, multiply the number of 2 multiplied by your body weight in kgs, or multiply the number of 1 by your weight in pounds. And it's going to be the amount that you want to go for when it comes to protein amount per day. And again, the best source is animal. And how you can calculate the amount of protein? Well, just Google your food. Let's say you like eggs or chicken or salmon or beef. Google like 150 grams. That's kind of an average proportion of, let's say, salmon contains how many grams of protein. Google will tell you really fast. No need for fancy calculators. Google works just fine with those things. Number 3, we get minerals that are essential for creating brain chemicals, neurotransmitters, again, that dopamine, that serotonin. The same minerals are important for whole body health. They are important from anything for immune system to making your muscles, to energy creation. And specifically here, I want to focus on zinc, magnesium, calcium, and iron. Globally, statistics show that people are either they consume inadequate amounts, they are deficient, they are chronically deficient. Very few people in the world actually consume adequate amounts of those minerals. And that's why I actually do tell people to supplement with those minerals. Zinc, magnesium, iron you can find in multivitamin, and I always advise multivitamin for one of those reasons is to get those essential nutrients. Magnesium, calcium, you just want to make sure that you either eat dairy products, 400 milliliters of fermented yogurt or kefir without sugar, for example. Cheese is a great source of calcium, but be aware of, calories. Not that they're bad, but just be aware that cheese is a highly caloric substance. When it comes to magnesium, we have beans, we have greens here. Not a lot of people are fans of those. I eat beans and greens every single day. 2 cups as much as possible. That's why when people ask me, Angela, how do I stick with a healthy diet? Just eat as much of healthy food as possible, to be honest. And you'll be surprised that you don't even have space in your stomach for unhealthy food. When you focus on getting all the nutrients you need, you actually need quite a big amount of whole foods to get all of those nutrients. And when you incorporate a lot of processed foods, forget about it. You're not going to be getting sufficient amount of nutrients. Zinc supplement, but the best sources are oysters. They're champions for zinc. Not a fan of oysters. Things like mussels have good amount, red meat, good amount. So zinc is, again, animal foods concentrated. They say, well, nuts and seeds, pumpkin seeds, different beans and grains have zinc. Yes, they do, but the fibers and certain phytonutrients anti-nutrients prevent that zinc from absorption. That's why I recommend supplement if you're not big on red meat, oysters, and shellfish. Just remember, number 3, those minerals, I do recommend again to supplement with, especially with things like, multivitamin to get your zinc, to get your iron, magnesium, calcium. You might need to supplement additionally. Most vitamin complexes do not contain them. So number 4, by the way, guys, I'm going to be going through these nutrients quite fast, but try to do next thing. Re-listen to this podcast episode and make a note of things you need to add to your diet or to get from supplements like multivitamin. Get it. If you don't eat calcium, get a calcium supplement. At least get, the calcium without the other nutrients that dairy product contain. But again, if you lactose intolerant, get lactose-free yogurt. Plenty of it. Magnesium, get it from a supplement. Additionally, it's actually, magnesium needed to create every single molecule of energy. So some people complain, a lot of people complain, I feel fatigued, I feel tired. Well, guess what? If you don't get magnesium, you will not be making a lot of energy. So get it as a supplement. Number 4, happy, productive brain and amazing fit body. B vitamins, get yours. For nervous system, they are super, super important. From anything from energy creation to getting energy from your food to making sure your nervous system works and functions, your mental health, creating neurotransmitters of focus and productivity like dopamine. B vitamins are important for all of this. And I always recommend to people get your B vitamin complex additionally on top of your multivitamin complex, just because they are water soluble, they go out of your system faster, they are important. Very few of them they do not produce negative side effects unless you super overdose them, but that's why you kind of gotta get the normal amount, like 100% of all the B vitamins in a complex. Additionally, where you get your B vitamins from different sources. Some you get from things like beans, like B1, important for energy creation, for your nervous system, for your brain. A lot of them you get from animal products, especially eggs and shellfish and organ meats, super high in B vitamins. But a lot of people do not eat a lot of eggs and shellfish and organ meats, and that's why you kind of want to supplement with your B vitamins to make the whole system more efficient and keep your brain happy, healthy, focused, and productive, and with a lot of energy. Number 5, vitamin D, very important for your brain performance, for your happiness, for everything that your brain does. A lot of neurotransmitters, again, dopamine, serotonin, they require vitamin D sufficient levels to actually be activated and for you to feel happy, confident, full of energy, productive. And vitamin D is involved in so many processes in the body. It helps with metabolism of magnesium, the one that is involved in energy creation. So when it comes to vitamin D, it's very important to get it. And if you are not getting into sunshine every single day for 10-15 minutes and you don't live in tropical, subtropical supplement where you get your sunshine every single day. So if you're not there, you need to look either into fatty foods. Eggs are actually a pretty good source of vitamin D. You just gotta get 3-4 eggs per day and know especially if you don't have any special conditions why eggs should be forbidden from your diet. And by special condition, I mean you either have intolerance or you have allergies, or you have hypercholesteremia where you're like a super absorber of cholesterol from your foods. Unless you have any of those, you need eat those eggs. They provide so many nutrients. 3 eggs, all the vitamin D you need. Vitamin A, there is iodine, there is selenium. The list goes on and on and on, like what kind of nutrients yolks of eggs have. So my recommendation, 3-4 eggs for vitamin D. And by the way, the same eggs will provide you, no surprise, whole foods provide a lot of nutrients in just one bite. Same 3 eggs will provide almost entire dose of your choline. And choline, only now scientists started talking about that. Choline is in the brain made into acetylcholine, one of the major neurotransmitters that our brain uses to create the state of focus, to open up neuroplasticity, and for you to learn to adapt. It's a neurotransmitter that is important for memory. It's a neurotransmitter that is important for choline is also important actually for digestion of fats. A neurotransmitter is important for contraction of muscles, and even your stomach is a muscle. Choline is important for creativity, for dreams that are super important for our mental health. And most people do not get enough of it. First of all, because the richest sources are eggs and liver. And then besides people not eating eggs and liver on a regular basis, also choline is found in bigger amounts in fatty foods, and a lot of people are not fans of a lot of fatty foods for one reason or the other, right? Or choline is found in beans and some nuts, but you gotta eat quite a lot of them, and things like broccoli or Brussels sprouts. But again, most people just don't eat enough of whole foods, and that's why eat your eggs. And also you can supplement acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a supplement. And then another one is alpha GPC. So those supplements are great sources of choline. But again, things like eggs that are rich in choline, they also rich in vitamin D, and vitamin A, and iodine, and protein, and a lot of other things. That's where whole foods, you eat like one whole food 3 eggs a day, and you get a whole range of nutrients. You just enrich your diet with so many nutrients without even thinking about that. But yeah, for vitamin D and choline, without which your brain aging going to be accelerated according to recent data. So eat your eggs. That's the answer. So we covered 5 and 6 D vitamins and choline in just one food group. Eggs, eat 3 a day, 3-4 a day. Of course, consult your doctor if you have certain conditions, but also realize that most doctors have very little nutrition education and they do not update their data. They think if somebody said to them that eggs were bad 10 years ago, they think that it is still the fact, when in reality it is not, and there was no good proof at any point that eggs were somewhat related to causing any diseases. Again, just if you're allergic, that's probably not a great thing for you. Number 7, antioxidants. You gotta get your antioxidants. Why they're important for your brain and your body? Well, specifically for your brain has this rich electrical activity every single second of your day. And it creates a lot of oxidative stress and a lot of potential damage, just a lot of molecules that can potentially damage your nerves, your cells, your brain. And antioxidants are needed to prevent that from happening. And the best antioxidants you get from your foods. We get vitamin C, that is the major antioxidant. We get vitamin E, also major antioxidant. But then all these plants, fruit and vegetables and berries and things like coffee and chocolate, dark chocolate, of course, they contain those all different kinds of polyphenols and antioxidants. They have different names, these compounds, that have much more profound effect than you can put in a pill. Again, you cannot put in a pill everything that whole food contains. We don't really understand how whole food works. And from the data that we have, people who have the best outcomes when it comes to brain performance, happiness, and energy levels, and general health and longevity, they eat a lot of nutrients from whole foods, not from pills. Again, you cannot put an apple into a pill no matter how hard you try. So antioxidants, how much you want to eat? They say like 5 servings a day, but that's like a minimum, as much as you can. Fruit and vegetables in their whole form. Fruit, raw, vegetables, cooked. Some greens you can eat raw, but for most people, and for myself including, what works best, you cook your vegetables, you eat your fruit raw, you have a combination of that, at the very least 5-7 servings, like those cups. But again, I eat 1-2 pounds a day of fruit and vegetables combined, to give you an idea. And that's what people who have the best outcomes tend to eat on a daily basis. Number 8, fiber. Fiber is important to feed your gut bacteria, to normalize your blood sugar. That will, if your blood sugar isn't normalized, everything in your body and brain going to be screwed up. It's one of the core foundational health aspects that you need to take care of. And eating fiber containing foods help with normalizing that blood sugar. Plus, they help your body to eliminate all the toxins and unnecessary bacteria or stuff that your body just doesn't need. Fiber helps with that. Fiber helps you to regulate appetite. That contributes to good metabolism, good body weight. Fiber feeds different kinds of fibers feed different gut bacteria, and the connection between your gut and your brain health undeniable. And the more fiber from whole foods you eat, the better you seem to be. Of course, in normal amounts, nobody telling you to eat so much fiber that you feel uncomfortable. But also realize that if you haven't eaten a lot of fiber, you will have to build up tolerance before you feel comfortable. For me, I used to feel very uncomfortable with beans. I would, get gassy and just get bloated. My stomach would just be bigger, like I'm pregnant after a meal. Now, after eating beans for a year consistently, I have none of these issues. Even when I combine beans with other proteins or eat fruit after them, no issues whatsoever. Of course, you also need to learn how to cook them, soaking them at least overnight, and then cooking them for a proper amount of time, usually 40-50 minutes for bigger beans and about 20 minutes for things like lentils. Why I'm talking about beans, also they are the best fiber sources, have the most per serving. They have also the most, plant-based protein and nutrients, and they also feed special kind of bacteria that create really strong gut lining, that build and maintain that gut lining. That's why beans are so amazing. And that fiber, eat it. Another food group nutrient that is needed in your gut on a regular basis. They recommend, I believe, 25-30 grams of fiber at least, but that is at the very least. Optimal is probably closer to 50 grams and more. They say that hunter-gatherers eat on a daily basis about 150 or something grams of fiber. I don't know how they do it, to be honest. It's quite a lot of fiber in food. But that just shows you how different our diets today are. Even for me, getting even close to 100 grams of fiber, I don't know if I can do it, even though I eat my beans every day. That, by the way, contain about 15 grams of fiber per cup. Now, the last but not least, probiotic-rich foods are things like fermented yogurt, fermented kefir with live bacteria. Make sure if you get your yogurt or kefir that it says live bacteria somewhere on the label. Make sure you get your probiotic-rich foods without sugars. Kombuchas also can be a source of probiotics, but also all kinds of pickles and fermented vegetables like kimchi or sauerkraut. But again, they gotta be refrigerated. That's how you know the bacteria is alive there, and it's gotta say somewhere that they were naturally fermented and are a source of beneficial bacteria. The product actually has to say somewhere, or if they are not refrigerated and it doesn't say anything about those bacteria, most probably they do not contain any due to different method of making of those foods. You can make pickles without fermenting anything. The same as a lot of yogurts, right? So you gotta kind of know your products. And again, if you ever need any advice, please reach out, Angela at brainbreakthroughcoach.com. And that's about it, guys. We talked a lot about nutrients, and I kind of walked you through this whole nutrient group that when you eat them on a daily basis, you have a big chance of creating the brain that is healthy, happy, and productive. And once your brain is healthy, happy, and productive, your whole body will do just fine. Brain seems to be the hungriest organ, the most demanding organ, not just for energy, but also for all your nutrients. And when you feed your brain, you feed your whole body. So let's recap. Nutrient number 1, omega-3 fatty acids. You get a good mix of omega-3 fatty acids when on a regular basis you eat your fatty fish like sardines, mackerel, salmon, herring, and you get things like walnuts and chia seeds and flax seeds, the land source of omega-3. So you need to get both. Now, ideally, if you can't get walnuts, get the fatty fish. That's the one that truly makes a difference in your brain's health and performance. If you don't eat fish every single day, eat your supplement in the form of fish oil or algae oil. And that the amount that you need to get is about 2 grams of EPA plus DHA. A little bit more detail here. Number 2, eat your protein. For animal sources are better. Multiply 2 by your weight in kilograms and get it from your favorite sources, Googling the amount of protein in those foods. Number 3, get your minerals, zinc, magnesium, calcium, iron. Calcium I recommend to get from dairy products, 500 milliliters. Iron, zinc, you can get from multivitamin. Magnesium, get it additionally as a supplement. Number 4, B vitamins. Get your full B complex on top of the diet that has either whole grains and beans, plus animal products, especially organ meats, especially shellfish, but also eggs and dairy products contain B vitamins. So get your B complex, get those foods. And again, some B vitamins, you need things like beans and grains, and most of them are in animal products. Number 5, you get your D vitamin. Actually, number 5 and 6. D vitamin and your choline. Eat 3-4 eggs, you'll cover both, and a lot more. Eggs also contain zinc and again iodine and selenium and protein and essential fatty acids. And eggs just such a treasure house of nutrients important for the brain. Number 7, get your antioxidants not from pills, get that from food. By the way, sugar-free coffee and super dark chocolate have a lot of antioxidants, so does green tea, but then also eat all the colors from berries, fruit, and vegetables. Antioxidants are not usually, but they are preserved better in raw foods. So I would recommend to eat also some of those antioxidants from raw things like berries and fruit and greens that you can eat raw. Number 8, fiber, especially beans, but then also your fruit and vegetables, of course, will contain your fiber as whole beans and grains that are the best sources of fiber. And then we have probiotics. Make sure that your fermented products do contain those live bacteria, and probiotic pills do not work quite as well as eating probiotic-rich foods plus ample amount of fiber. And that's about it, guys. A lot of nutrients, but that's why as a nutritionist, when people ask me, Angela, don't you crave some junk food from time to time? And I'm like, I'm just so busy eating all the freaking foods I need to eat that by the end of the day, I don't have any space for anything else in my stomach. And that is actually true. When you focus on the things that you need to eat, because it's hardwired in your biology, and you learn how to make them enjoyable, you just have no time and space to think about all the other foods, nor you will want them after a while once the pattern kind of falls off and you have other habits built. If you want to support this show, folks, if you want more people to learn the proper science of health and well-being and building this foundation with proper eating, behavioral, and cognitive tools, please do share. Like, there is an error or share button somewhere in your app where you get your podcast, share it with a friend who might really benefit, who might really love it, who might get inspired. Share this. This is the best support that if you like this show, I'd like you to give to me, and all with the purpose more people do better, feel better, and we create a better world for all of us faster. So please do share, reach out if you need any advice, any specific advice on how to implement what you learned on this podcast. So reach out, share, and till next time, find those foods that we talked about today and eat them. That's the only way to improve. Thank you guys. Talk to you very soon.